There's a lot to talk about. Like this weekend is a really good weekend to look forward to when it comes to boxing. The only problem is I'm going to miss most of the boxer card
How come?
because I'm praying because the prayer
Oh
time
yeah. Okay.
this
Yeah.
month in it. But the Sue Fundora one will be easy, obviously, because that's in the night. So that's why even the Dalton Smith one, I caught like the back end of it. I didn't manage to catch all of it.
Mm.
Just tweeting out the links and then we'll start this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, perfect timing as well. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Ringside Fracas. I'm your host Naeem, and today I'm joined by the regulars, Mark. Mark, how are you, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I feel like I haven't been on in a while.
Yeah, we missed the Ngannou AJ stream, which, by the way, everyone was probably one of our best streams ever. I mean, it got so many views. We had 700 live viewers, so thank you to everyone that did tune in that day. And on YouTube, we actually got over 1,000 views on that episode. So that was a really good episode, and hopefully we can continue this train and carry it on.
So
Uh,
everyone tuned in when I wasn't on, basically.
and then we've also got Jide. Jide, how are you, bro?
I'm good, man. Good. This has been a great year for boxing, man. So I can't complain, man. So yeah, man,
Yeah,
I'm ready to get into it.
yeah. It feels like even without the big fights, we're still getting like good fights. Like, and as I was alluding to before we uh, went on, was this weekend we've got a lot of fights to look forward to. But before we do that, what I want to get through is the big fight of this weekend, which was obviously Dalton Smith stopping Jose Zepeda in the fifth round. I mean, it was a brilliant body shot, sunk a straight right into his solar plexus, and Zepeda kind of acknowledged it and then went down. And he couldn't get back up from it again. Um,
Yeah.
I think the bigger talking point out of that was sort of the way Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. I've never seen them move this kind of brazy before. Was them literally calling out Adam Azim, and even on their Twitter account, atting Adam Azim, telling him he's on notice, and kind of really going after Adam Azim and Boxer as well. Because I don't think it's mainly to do with Adam. It's obviously the whole politics behind the
Yeah.
boxing and the promotions and all of that. But
Yeah.
let me come into first let's talk about the performance first. Dalton Smith, I mean, what a performance against a guy who, it took Regis Prograis 11 rounds to knock him out. Richardson Hitchens couldn't stop him, but Dalton Smith stopped him in 5 rounds. Mark, you obviously watched that live. What was your thoughts about Dalton's performance?
Do you know what? Yeah, when it first got started, I was a bit worried because like the player is obviously southpaw, and it just felt like it was like whenever he was throwing, he was just missing by inches, or like just he wasn't getting the timing quite right. And anytime like he kind of like Dalton, it was just like not it wasn't quite fully there. And in my head, I was just like, if Dalton doesn't stay switched on, he's gonna get clipped. But the longer the fight went on, he kind of like figured it out, and also it felt like the longer the fight went on, that Cepeda started to look at his age a little bit. Like he kind of slowed down, and Dalton got to him. But I didn't expect that. I thought Dalton was gonna win on points.
Yeah, same. In the build up to it, I was always saying that Jose Cepeda is a guy that's at his best is a world title challenger, but he's on
Hmm.
the sort of decline. He's a definite world level fighter, and this is the sort of perfect time. This is matchmaking 101. Is you get a fighter that's a former world title challenger who's on the decline, and you know that your guy can do well against him. And I said that based off of Dalton's last performances, he can't fight like that against Cepeda because Cepeda could win that, but if he puts in a career best performance, it could be enough to beat Zepeda, and it was more than enough. I think it was a statement that body shot, again stopping him in earlier than Regis could, and Richards Hitchens, who a lot of people are saying a world level fighter, couldn't even stop him as well. That's a brilliant statement to make. Jide, your thoughts on how Dalton looked last night?
It looked great, man. When he started, I thought his head is two in his head is two in the center line, like he's making it telegraph. If you look when the fight started, Zepeda looked sharp. Like he was stepping into his left hands. Although he was looping it, it was finding a home there, and you could see Dawn Smith trying to time him with his left hook, check left hook. And one thing I like about Smith's left hook is he can throw it long. Normally the check hook is a very short punch, but with him he can throw it long. Although in this fight you could argue maybe he shouldn't have done it too much, but you could see it was trying to time him when it was getting him here and there. And as the fight went from the first round, the 3 lap rounds, to the second round, it's like Smith found his range and he just started tattooing him with the right hands and the left hooks, and you could just see as the fight kept progressing, Zepeda started losing confidence and started being tentative. The first 2 rounds, Zepeda was on it, like he was on him. Then after that, it just didn't want to throw as much, and I was like, yeah, he's got him. He's gonna stop him. I didn't think it would stop him in the 5th round because that body shot was, that was beautiful. That was on the money. I thought it was gonna get him later because, like I said, it was tattooing him in and out. It was brilliant boxing on how to fight on the outside without being quote unquote scared. Like, I hate outside fighters that just are super, super negative. Like my boy, Shakur Stevenson.
I knew he was going to say that.
I still think he's my guy. But that is the difference. I'm not saying Smith is as good. He's nowhere near as good as Shakur, in my opinion. However, when you're fighting on the outside, quote unquote outside, that is how you do it. You get in and out of range, you throw combinations, you throw punches, you entertain. So I feel like a lot of these so-called slick boxers, they need to take a note of these sort of fights. But yeah, he just caught him with a brilliant right hook, uppercut. It was like a mix of both.
It was like a corkscrew.
Yeah, it's like it was a beautiful shot. And that delayed reaction, that's when I knew he was not going to get up. It's when they have those delayed reaction from those liver shots, you just know, yeah, it's done. And then, yeah, it was brilliant performance, man. Honestly, I think Adam Azim is in trouble. And I feel like Sky Sports or Boxer, Eddie Hearn is on him because they've pulled out of 2 different purse bids. They've basically, Boxers has turned into the UK's version of the PBC. And it's like you're putting yourself in some island and you're only trying to make fights when it suits you. And that's just ridiculous. And what Eddie Hearn is doing right now, to me, it's funny because I've never seen Eddie this aggressive. It's just so funny. It's just like Eddie don't rate him. Eddie will never do this with Frank Warren. Will never do this with Bob Arum. Will never do this with Al Heyman. He just doesn't respect Ben Shalom, and I feel like Ben. If I was Ben, I'll go to Adam. Listen, win this for me. We'll bring this on Sky Sports. Do this for me. Change our destiny. Because I'm not saying Adam Azim is out of it. I think it's a good fight if they both fight. So that's the fight that needs to be made next. Like, let's bring back these British rivalries because that's what made us love the sport. So
yeah, I think in the reaction to this, a lot of people kind of, whether or not because they're Eddie Hearn fans or whatever it is, they're kind of downplaying Adam Azim's chances in this fight, because if you've looked at Adam Azim's performances, he's never really had a proper weak performance. He's actually fought some decent stellar level opposition, not world level, but these are decent European level, you could argue, opposition. And Dalton in his last couple of performances at domestic level wasn't looking amazing. Like, he was getting cut up, he was struggling in some stages. So it's not like he couldn't struggle against Adam Azim. Just because you have one great performance against Jose Zepeda, it can always be inflated. You could always then come back down and you don't look the same. And it's much, and Adam Azim is obviously a much more different opponent compared to Jose Zepeda. He's much more quicker. His boxing brain is a bit, not, I wouldn't say better than Zepeda's, because obviously Zepeda's been at a high level, but he'll be a bit more careful. And he's young, he's hungry, and he knows that he's got everything at his feet. But like you said,
Smith gives you so many chances to hit him. Like,
yeah,
he's not got he's not got a stellar defense. Like, he can get hit a lot. So yeah.
And one thing that one of the guys on Twitter, Tuckers, pointed out was he's got a lot of scar tissue around his face. Dalton Smith. You get hit with any punch by Adam Azim that just opens up a cut. Forget about stunning you. If it just opens up a bad cut in a weird position, that screws up your mentality in the fight, because now you've got to deal with the cut going into your eye, the blood going into your eye. You've got to do all this other stuff. So it's a really good fight. I think it should happen next, because I think it's a competitive close fight. I'd argue that probably edge it towards Smith. That Smith is probably the favorite in that fight, but it's a great fight that should happen next. But we know how boxing goes. We know how the politics is, and Adam Azim is kind of boxers. They both are. They're pay-per-view kind of stars. Even Dalton Smith, Matchroom do want to build him into this sort of star so that they can get some money out of him, because they can't keep relying on the likes of Anthony Joshua to keep bailing them out with big fights. So they still need to build these other fighters, which is why I don't think we'll see that fight, because they know that the fight got ordered, and the more likely thing that boxers are going to do, because they want to keep it on their platform, they want to keep their stars and everything, is they're going to vacate and go another route, and then they're just going to use that to keep louding it and pull him down so that obviously they can build up their star in that way. And that's sometimes when the boxing politics kind of gets sour, isn't it? Is because then what happens is the prospective fight kind of, the chances of it goes down even more, because you know that these two probably won't work with each other.
Yeah.
So there is that issue. Mark, you were saying about the Adam Azim and Dalton Smith, your thoughts about it?
I think, see, boxing fans, we're just fickle, innit? Like we have a not memory of goldfish, but one good performance could sway people's opinions, innit? And Adam Azim isn't necessarily a bad fighter. Like, I think it's a lot more 50-50 than a lot of people think. Like, when you look at sort of his attributes, he's quick, he's strong. Like, I just think because of like last night and whatnot, a lot of people just seems to think that Adam Azim doesn't have a chance. But this is very much 50-50 in my eyes, and I think Ben should throw Adam Azim in it. Like, he should believe in his fighter a lot more, because I feel like there's a lack of belief in his fighter. Like, the opportunity is there. Like, if you look at the bigger picture, if he beats Dalton Smith, like, the bigger picture is just like he's beating like a really good world fringe level prospect. Like, that opens up a lot of doors. So I think he should do it.
It would be like how when Groves and DeGale fought, the winner kind of can then push themselves forward even further. But the problem is, like you said, is the reason I feel Ben doesn't take those risks, and he has problems of his own, because you can't keep longing this out to the purse bid and then pull them out. You should just pull them out straight away. If you don't want just make it clear so then people can move on. But the thing I think is, he's in that position where, if you look at especially the landscape now, where you've got Matchroom and Queensberry working together on these Saudi cards, you've got Top Rank kind of sprinkling their influence on those Saudi cards as well, with obviously Usyk and Benavidez and whatnot. You've also got then Al Heyman doing his own thing, putting up good fights in America. He's not in that position where Sky want to be a part of it, but they can't. Obviously, they're only a part of it when it comes to the broadcasting stuff. They can't really take a hold of it much more. So his position is really compromised, where he wants to keep his stars like the Ben Whitakers, which we're going to get onto. I'm going to talk about him especially. Adam Azim's, the Vidal Rileys, again, we'll talk about him, and make them into stars. So then he's got his own prospective fighters that can really sell, and then it can push his promotion. So he's not really in that position where he himself wants to take a lot of risks. So like I said, the politics of it kind of muddles up everything, and the way it goes, we don't get the fights what we want, because you know that as soon as Dalton Smith, if this fight happens, Dalton Smith wins, there's going to be a big smear campaign over Boxer and Adam Azim from Matchroom side and everything, to put them down. Look how rubbish their fighters is. This is why you don't go to their shows, because their fighters can't really fight and whatnot, and then it kind of makes everything worse. So yeah, I don't expect this fight to happen next. What I expect to happen is Adam probably vacate. Dalton fights whoever for the vacant, and then he moves on to world level, wherever that is. And I hope they do look at getting him a world level opponent, because that 140 is a stacked division. So many guys out there. Like,
they're talking about Regis Progress, wasn't they?
Yeah, that's a good.
The best division in boxing right now.
Yeah.
Well, the best famous division. It's not the best division, but in terms of like where the so-called names are, it's probably the best right now.
Yeah. So there's a lot to look forward to for Dalton, because he's just opened that door to sort of the world level fights. So hopefully we see Adam Azim again soon after Ramadan, whenever that is, probably June or whatever. He gets back in whenever it is and he fights, and then we can see both of them build towards a fight, hopefully sooner rather than later. But it was a good night for Matchroom. That was the type of performance you need from your stars, and let's see what.
Apart from Campbell.
But they expected that. That's why they put him in that fight. I feel like they've given up, not given up, but like with Campbell Hatton, they've they know he's not going to go anywhere. So they just put him in this fight. And he, to be fair, I've got to give it to Campbell Hatton. He surprised me because his work rate and his engine, the guy got heart. Like, he hasn't got skills, but he's got heart. I got to give him that. But
Well,
that's
I watched a video from G-Man said he should do Misfits. Oh, but yeah, hey, nepotism don't work in boxing, man.
Well, the fight that we're going to go on to, nepotism is kind of working. The fight that's coming up this week, and we'll talk about that. Well, let's start that. It's the best way to segue into it. Nepotism at its finest. Tszyu taking on Sebastian Fundora in a unification bout. So obviously Tszyu is now defending his WBO belt, and the vacant WBC belt will also be on the line because now Jamal Charlo's a champion in recess, whatever that means. Anyway, Tszyu was meant to fight Keith Thurman. Luckily, and I say luckily because I don't want that fight in the first place. Keith Thurman got a bicep injury, and look, I hope he gets better, but it might be time to call it a day, especially if your biceps are tearing at that age. But now on 12 days' notice, he's taken on Sebastian Fundora, who's meant to be on the undercard. And now they're making this into a unification bout. And this shows you, and I've been bigging up Tszyu the entire 2023 because he's had an amazing 2023. That guy's fought 3 times. He's been 2 top 5 fighters in Tony Harrison and Brian Mendoza. He got his belt in that year. And now look, on 12 days notice, no hesitation, none of that. Give me Sebastian Fundora. Completely different style to Keith Thurman. He's a 6'5" lanky southpaw who likes fighting on the inside, and he really wants to punch with you. But for Fundora, again, big up to him taking this fight on 12 days notice. But in terms of profiles, Fundora was meant to fight Bohachuk. Bohachuk is similar to Tszyu, both orthodox pressure fighters, 5'8". So they kind of know what he kind of has had that training camp to expect that style. Tszyu, gotta give him the cojones on him, man. That guy, 12 days notice, taking on a fight like this. And this is a fight I've been wanting for like 2 years now. It's a huge fight. And in my opinion, this is the best fight you could get at 154 right now. Yeah, Fundora's coming off a knockout loss. But if you watch that fight against Mendoza, he was beating Mendoza until that one punch knocked him out. This is going to be a great fight. I mean, I can't wait for it. And I'm glad that the circumstances have given us this fight. Jide, your thoughts on Tszyu taking on Sebastian Fundora?
Yeah, like you said, I echo everything you said. It's a great fight. It's probably the fight that maybe shouldn't have been made based on, like I said, Fundora coming off the loss. But let's say Fundora had his build-up in between fight and then he got his win, and then yeah, it is one of the best fights in the division, if not the best fight in the division. I just feel like Tszyu is setting himself up for failure here. Like, Fundora is not light work. I feel like you need a proper camp to beat him. We've seen boxers taking like short notice fights and losing. Fundora's been getting ready for you, bro. He's been he's been watching. You're the champion, so even if he wasn't training for a 5'8" pressure fighter, he's already had an idea that this is what I'm gonna do when I fight you. He's already probably practiced for you, while you've not had no lick of chance to think, you know what, Keith Thurman might pull out. Let me train for a 6'5" southpaw, gets him close and throws loads of punches. Like, I still thought Tim can do it, but it's a tricky fight. It's a tricky fight. It's a great fight, and like, I just don't want to hear Keith Thurman ever again. He needs to just call it a day. Like, runtime, his career's done, man. Just give it up now, man. You're a disgrace.
Did you call him runtime?
Yeah, man.
Keith runtime Thurman.
Runtime, man.
This
But
guy,
yeah,
he's got punchlines for days, isn't it?
Fam, the guy's not knocked anyone out since what?
He hasn't fought anyone since then. I mean, like, he's
No, but
not
even
anymore.
even before, like, it's something like 2017 or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was so long ago. Like, I want to know what kind of fraud he done to get that nickname, because there's no way he should have got one time. But yeah, like, he just basically, they sold us a dream. I never wanted that fight. That was a stupid fight. But the WBC are clout chasers because they're throwing their belt in this. They want a piece. They just want them that 5% or 3% sanction fee.
It's a good thing because Jamel hasn't defended that belt in over a year now. Way over a year.
I completely agree. I'm not saying no, but if I was who's the number 1 and number 2 in the WBC?
I think it was meant to be Fundora versus Bohachuk for the interim belt. And then because Fundora's now moved to this one, they've made Bohachuk versus Mendoza this replacement fight as the interim title. And they've made Tszyu versus Fundora as the vacant, with the agreement that the winner of it will have to fight Bohachuk.
Okay,
Mendoza.
cool. Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that then. I didn't know that. I thought that they were gonna shaft Bohachuk, but all right, cool. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm Gucci with it, man. Yeah, it's a great fight. Yeah. A great fight.
Mark, your thoughts on Tszyu versus Fundora?
That fight is 100% not going the distance. Someone's getting their ass kicked, as in someone's getting stopped badly. Like, yeah, that fight is definitely not going the distance, man. The way Fundora fights, even though he's about like the same height as Peter Crouch, like he fights like a Mexican. What nationality is he?
I think he's American, but like his ethnicity, I wouldn't know.
He's what? He's American Hispanic, yeah.
Yeah, he's American, but obviously his background I wouldn't know.
He fights like a proper Mexican, like Mexican style. So I can't wait for that fight because it's not going to be any like feel out rounds or whatever. They're just going to meet in the middle of the ring and just have a tear up, and whoever lands. I guess it's going to be it's one of those ones where it's exciting, isn't it? And if you're a casual, you're probably going to see this fight. Like it's going to be really, really exciting. But yeah, it's 100% not going distance.
Yeah, I feel like we might even get a thing, fight of the year contender.
Yeah,
like it's gonna be one of those ones where
I think their styles complement each other as well, because neither of them have the greatest defense. Like they're just sort of there to be hit. So yeah. And I also feel like there's been a lot of Terence Crawford, Tim Tszyu talks as well. Like
he's boxing, he's activated his WBO super status. So
yeah,
you see boxing, you can never all like look ahead in it. So I feel like I don't know, man. Like Tim Tszyu might just have gone a bit more than he can chew with this one, because all the signs are pointing towards like a banana split.
But at the same time, though, this is what I want from fighters. I want fighters to go, okay, we don't have this fight. Give me the next best thing.
Yeah.
Rather than
but like Jide said, I'm fine with the fight, but I just feel like maybe Tim Tszyu should have had a proper camp for Fundora, because it's completely different to Keith Thurman. Do you know what I mean? So I'm fine with the fight. I just feel like maybe it should have been. Actually, no, scrap it. I'm good with it, man. But yeah, I feel like there's gonna be an upset.
Yeah, okay. I think my thing is Tim Tszyu really solid with his boxing. Like he's not an elite kind of Terence Crawford level boxer, but he's got proper solid fundamental boxing.
Yeah.
He knows how to pressure fight. He's got great body shots, and he can really wear people down. I think that the fact that his body work is good is going to be the key to him breaking down Fundora, because Fundora, that body is going to be there for him to hit, and then he's always Fundora never gets his head out of the way. Even though he's 6'5", it's always there on a plate. And I think Tim Tszyu is more than capable enough of taking it to him, breaking him down, and then eventually finding those shots that just put him down. And Fundora, it's one of those ones where he's also going to have to take a lot of punches himself. He's going to get hit, especially Fundora loves against these short, because everyone's shorter to him in that division. He loves throwing uppercuts and hooks in those fights, because he knows that even though he's got the longer arms and it takes longer to reach, the other fighter's not really expecting the uppercuts in those type of situations. So it does kind of get to them. What I want to kind of show people if they're watching is the height difference between the two just looks insane. I mean, let me just pull it up. Can you see?
Yeah.
Look at the height difference between the two. What the hell?
That's ridiculous.
Like the fact that he's in that division is insane, but he's got the body type for it. Like he doesn't have that type of wide, compact.
But my thing is, you've got the body type, so you're cheat coding in the division, but you're giving up all your advantages.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Why? I'd fight range. I'll fight long, bro. No one will get near me. But
it looks so mad when you just see them stand next to each other, and then on fight night when we watch it, it's just gonna look so it's just gonna look so weird. Like seeing them. But yeah, it's a good fight. Like I said, it's a great fight. And like Mark said, it's definitely not going the distance. And it's what boxing needs. We need these type of great fights between matched fighters, and I've wanted this fight for 2 years, and we're getting it now. So I'm happy with it. I think Tim Tszyu is going to stop him. I think Tim Tszyu is that type of fighter. He doesn't overlook anything or anyone. He's got that mentality of he knows what's behind him. He knows there's all this pressure from being his dad's son, and Tszyu was such a legendary fighter. He's got all this pressure and all this weight on his shoulders, but he's adjusted to it. To me, he seems like he's adjusted to it, and he knows that there's so much on the line for him that he's always ready and always focused. I mean, you look at how he treated his 2023, and I said, if he didn't have the guy likes of Naoya Inoue or Terence Crawford, Tim Tszyu has an argument for being fighter of the year, because he took on 3 fights, 2 stoppages, and 2 of those fights were against top 5 opposition. Again, he's taken on another top 5 opposition straight after that. The guy, he beat Mendoza, and then now he's fighting Fundora. I mean, you've got to give him his credit. Like, this is the type of boxing and mentality that we need more in the sport. And I hope he gets the Terence Crawford fight afterwards, because I think that fight is a great fight. I think he's got a good chance in that fight. I wouldn't say he's the favorite, obviously, because you have to go with Terence Crawford, because he's got more than enough chance to win that fight, and to prove himself on that big stage, which is what he's been wanting to do and keep doing, because he wanted Jamal Charlo, and Jamal Charlo kept on screwing him over. So he just kept working. And look at him now; he's arguably the number 1 light middleweight. And as you can tell, I kind of like him a lot because of this work that he's been putting in. But how can you not like him? You've got to give him his credit. So I'm happy with this one, and I can't wait to watch it live, because it's gonna be a barn burner. On the undercard, a bit of a weird one. We got Wardley taking on Pitbull Cruz. So I think this is Pitbull's first fight at 140. I think so. Yeah, I'd have to recheck that. But I think this is Pitbull's first fight at 140, and obviously Wardley defending his belt after controversially winning it against Ishmael Barroso, which was one of the worst stoppages and worst kind of refereeing I've seen in quite a while. I don't know what to expect from this fight, because I've never seen Cruz at 140. I don't know how his power will translate. He was on the Spence Crawford undercard as is Isaac Cruz, wasn't he? And then he looked very bad in that fight, where he won, but he didn't look amazing in that fight. So I'm not really expecting a lot from this. It's kind of like I'm going to turn up and see what happens. For some reason, I expect Wardley to kind of do the job, because I think while Isaac Cruz has a lot of good qualities about him, he's quite hittable. And I think that will favor Wardley a bit, because Wardley's not the best boxer, and that's putting it mildly, but he can punch.
He can crack,
He can punch. And so I'm interested to see how it goes. Mark, what are your thoughts on Wardley Romero taking on Isaac Cruz? This is like the battle of the Tank opponents. Who got beat by Tank worse?
It's a weird one, because on paper, you'd think Pitbull, just because of how he performed against Tank, should get the job done. But like you said, like at 140, you just don't know. And Wardley can crack. Like anyone that's fought Wardley will say he can hit. I don't know, man. Like sometimes his awkwardness might just work in his favor, man. Like whenever I see Wardley, I'm not a fan of him, but he just seems to make things work for him. But I'm going to lean towards Cruz.
That's fair. Jide?
Bullshit fight with 2 bullshit opponents the winner's gonna get Tank, and Tank's gonna be a 2-division world champion officially, not this regular bullshit he's been doing, fighting his leftovers again. It's just bullshit, man. This is the shit PBC was doing that fucked up their deal with Fox and Showtime. But again, Wardley is so shit. Like, the only reason I'm gonna even watch this fight is because I'm gonna be staying up to watch the fight I actually want to watch. So I might as well it's a might as well. Yeah. Like the people that know the saying and the euphemism of might as well, that is a might as well. It's just gonna be there, and I'm just gonna watch it. But who do I think is gonna win? I don't know. When two guys I don't rate fight, it's like I don't care who wins. But like you said, Romero hits hard, but I feel like Isaac Cruz, his pressure would see him either eke out a points win or he might get robbed on the cards. I don't see really stopping him. But again, they're fighting to fight Tank. That's what they're fighting for. So good luck to them, man. I do not give a damn about them.
Also on the undercard of the Tszyu Fundora fight, you've got Erislandy Lara finally defending his middleweight title, WBA, again in one of those fights where he was meant to fight Danny Garcia, then it didn't happen for some reason, and now he's fighting Michael Zarafa. Again, one of those fights, and I don't know what to expect. A lot of these guys have spent a long time away from the ring. So, when they turn up, you don't know what to see, what to expect. Zarafa could take it based off of, Lara not fighting a lot and being quite older. So, but obviously, if Lara's quite nearer to his 100%, you'd expect Erislandy Lara to win it. But even then, Erislandy Lara is someone that I look at middleweight and I go, you fight any of the other champions, they're stopping you. You're a good fighter, but they're stopping you. Janibek stops him. Adamez would stop him. So Shiraz would stop him. But speaking of Shiraz, obviously I look at Hamza Shiraz as one of the future of the middleweight division, someone that you can look at, he's young and you know that he's probably going to become a world champion. On this card as well, we've got another guy at middleweight who's definitely, in my opinion, he will disappoint if he doesn't get if he doesn't become a world champion. And that's Elijah Garcia. He's a really good opponent. He's a really good fighter, young. I think he was on the Benavidez Plant undercard for one of his recent fights, but he's 20 years old, 16-0, 13 knockouts, and he's really going through kind of what's it called? Not a ring of fire, but he's not having it easy. So if you look at his record, 16-0 Elijah Garcia, and if my laptop works, there we go. You see, he's been having some decent level opponents that he's been fighting in quite a while. And Kyron Davis, again, not amazing, but decent level. And this is someone that I think keep your eye out on, because Elijah Garcia I think he's definitely in due for a world title shot, and he's going to be around that world level. So hopefully in that kind of dire division at middleweight, Shiraz and Elijah Garcia kind of become the diamond in the dirts, and they make that division a bit better. So a decent card to look forward to. Not something on pay-per-view, but it's PBC's first flagship Amazon Prime pay-per-view event. So
yeah, the headliner has made it a lot better now.
Yeah.
Before, when it was Tszyu and Thurman, that was just nonsense. But now you can definitely stomach this a bit better.
100%. And this was on the Saturday. So on the Sunday of this week, we've got to look forward to is Fabio Wardley defending his, I think it's British and Commonwealth belt against Frazer Clarke. I mean, this fight was meant to happen, I think, a couple months beforehand when they both went to purse bid, and then Frazer Clarke obviously got pulled out by Ben Shalom. But now it's finally happening. Frazer Clarke's in between has had fights with Marius Wack and Dave Allen. Not very flattering performances for Frazer Clarke, to say the least. I mean, especially the Dave Allen one, that was kind of whack, to say the least. Fabio Wardley coming off probably one of his best career performances, knocking out, stopping David Adelaide on the Battle of the Baddest card. And now he's going on another UK tour as I call it, going around beating these British heavyweights. And now he wants to fight Frazer Clarke in at the O2, which when they first announced it, I was quite skeptical, because obviously they're not big names like that to sell out the O2. But sorry, once they announced the card, and we're going to get into the card, I thought, you know what, fair enough. They might be able to fill up a lot of the O2 with these type of matchups. They're a really good matchup. We're going to get into all of it. But Fabio Wardley versus Frazer Clarke. My thoughts on it is, when Frazer Clarke first stepped on the scene, we first saw his debut on the Brooke Khan undercard, where they got that random security guard out of nowhere. They picked him out and they got him to fight him. And since then, the matchmaking for him has been around the same level. And he even complained on the card, even live on the events. He said these fights aren't for me. These opponents aren't my level, and I'm just wasting my time here. And he's right, because he's a bronze medalist. He's been to the Olympics. He's been to the highest level of the amateurs. With these type of guys, you should match them up quite quicker.
He's quite old as well.
Yeah, he's been around for quite a while. He's also been he was, if you don't remember, he was one of the security guards.
Bouncers for Dylan White, AJ, yeah.
Dylan White and AJ fighting each other after round one when that whole brawl happened. He was in there trying to stop it.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a full circle moment. He's a bouncer though too. Now he's the headline act. But he's never showed in the step up fights, like the fights with Wack and Dave Allen. He never really showed a kind of a good pedigree of skills or an X factor to his fighting, whether he's got great speed or great power or decent footwork. It's just everything's kind of basic, and he's going to get to a decent level. He'll get to a British level at heavyweights, but you're not really banking on him to go further than that. This could be one of those performances where he pulls something out that none of us kind of expected. But on paper, what I'm looking at is, I think Fabio Wardley's done more than enough. They're kind of two on the opposite end, isn't it? You've got Frazer Clarke, who went through the amateur system, went to the Olympics, and he's got kind of the backing of Box and Sky. But then you've got Fabio Wardley, who he didn't do any of the amateurs. He went to the semi-pro, the white collar stuff. From that, he felt good enough to do the small horse shows, and he's built himself up to this point where he got backed by Matchroom, and then now took a leap and fought David Adelaide on that Saudi card, and now he's taking another leap to a different promotion to boxer to fight Frazer Clarke and to keep building his name. They're kind of two on the opposite ends, where one kind of done well in the amateurs, the other one didn't really do the amateurs, but he's showing out in the pros. So I've got Fabio Wardley. I think Fabio Wardley, I don't know if he stops him, because we've never really seen Frazer Clarke tested, if that makes sense. We've seen him struggle to try to look good, but we've never seen him really struggle. So he could have that solidness about him where he can take a couple shots and he can definitely get to the end. But I don't see him beating Fabio Wardley. I think Fabio Wardley either stops him or it's a decision where he wins comfortably. And I hope he doesn't get robbed, which I don't think they will. But I hope that we get a good fight in it. I think that both of them will try to take each other out and they'll both come to win, because there is a bit of bad blood between them. They do have a bit of animosity between them. They both want to win. But I haven't seen anything from Frazer Clarke to convince me that he's going to make this fight his. Mark, your thoughts on Wardley and Clarke?
Just echoing what you were saying, really. I think Fabio's just done. He's done like the graveyard shifts. He's done like the hard work and whatnot. Frazer hasn't really done anything of note. I know obviously he won the bronze medal, but he, like, whenever he's fought, like, it just hasn't really made anyone sit up and notice. He's just been, everything just feels like it's like he's gone at a pedestrian pace, like it's just slow and whatnot. I feel like he's gonna get stopped, and I don't think I feel like he doesn't have a great engine or anything. Like, I feel like he's gonna get stopped. I think Fabio's more battle tested. He's got more sort of like in-ring experience at the highest level. I mean, yeah, nothing about Frazer stands out for me. I think he's gonna get stopped.
Jide?
That boy is getting his head bust up. He's getting stopped, man. He's getting stopped. It's gonna be a wide UD or a stoppage. Listen, Frazer Clarke, man, your bronze medal, man. Your Rolly's fake, bro. That thing's ticking, man. That thing's ticking.
Yeah, I just feel like there's gonna be like a golfing class, like,
Yeah.
Bro, a golfing class. I can't remember exactly how we won that bronze medal. I think it was a cut or something, but it was in 2020. I have to go back and watch it, but man, the boy has not impressed me one bit. What I will say is, when he's not tired, when the fight is fresh, he has decent technique. You could tell he throws punches decent, nice, and whatnot. But he doesn't have no power, so he can't get guys off him. He doesn't know how to dictate the tempo of the fight, the pace of the fight. His last two performances, the main reason why he struggled so bad is he was fighting at the pace of his opponents. He wasn't the one setting the pace. And one of the reasons why he couldn't do that is because he couldn't get their respect with his power. And now you're facing a guy who hits hard, who hits really hard. That's one thing about Wardley. Like, he might not have the amateur background, but he knows how to throw his 1-2s. He knows how to set up range, and he knows how to crack. And I just feel like once he hits Frazer Clarke a few times, and the thing about Frazer will scrap. He's got heart. He will fight you. But once he feels that, it's just gonna discourage him. So I expect him to get stopped or YDD. And then with that, Wardley can now start pushing for world level fights. He can forget about British level because by then he's basically cleaned out. And this is what I like. This is what we need more people in our shows to do. I don't like how I get it when you have two very talented boxers. You want to build them up and let them fight for world titles, but let them scrap it out, man. Because when they fight young, when they fight around this time, before they become so seasoned, you have the best fights because the guys make mistakes. That's one of the reasons why I wish we got Yard and Boatsi back in the day, before both guys done what they've done. When Boatsi was a bit more spiteful and aggressive, and Yard was the same. Do you get what I mean? Like, that would have been fireworks. That's what we got with The Girl Grows. That's what we got with. Do you know what I mean? That's whenever we have these sort of rivals fight early, is best, isn't it? So I expect this to be a good fight because I expect Frazer Clarke to come and fight, but I expect him to get stopped.
Yeah, perfectly well said by both of you. It's not a fight that Clarke's kind of done anything beforehand to kind of warrant being given a proper shout in this, and especially that Dave Allen fight, that didn't look great because there was a lot of low blows that he was trying, and it just looked like a mess. And I think this time he's really, and it's either those moments that it goes the way we expect, or Clarke pulls something out that no one really would have expected. But I, like you said, I don't see either see Wardley winning by a comfortable decision or maybe even stopping Clarke. It's quite wide in terms of. You're muted.
Is it 10 rounds or 12?
It's 12. Yeah, it should be 12. Let me just check. But yeah, it should be 12 because normally British title fights are 12. Yeah, the Adelaide fight was 12, so this one will be 12 as well.
Mm.
All right. That's a decent, but the good thing, but like you said, Jide, that is a decent matchup between two British rivals. And another one what we're getting, you could argue if one's British or not, is Florian Marku versus Chris Congo. I think that's a good fight that they've matched up between the two because both of them are decent welterweight level, domestic level fighters. There is some animosity between them, and they both kind of want to push on with their careers, so they know they have to step over the other. I'm excited for this fight because I think both men have what it takes to win. It's more competitive than most people realize. Marku had a brilliant knockout in his last fight. It was like a first round knockout, and Congo's kind of coming off. Let me just check his record. I forgot. But he's been around. He's fought Eko Esamun. He's fought Michael McKinson. So he's been around the kind of higher level names than Marku himself. So he knows what it takes to win those fights, and he's been in there before. So I'm excited. Wouldn't be the term in terms of like bubbling excitement, but it's like I really want to see this fight. And
it's gonna be a good scrap.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good scrap. Jide, your thoughts on Marku versus Congo?
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's going to be a good fight. Around the same level, in my opinion. Congo has just been very unlucky. He's not really had the backing. Also, I would say maybe his performances haven't been the best in the past, especially someone that hasn't got a big following. It's like it's winner stays on. You have to be active, and you have to do the legwork to promote yourself and stuff like that, which he really hasn't done. But I'm happy for him. He's getting this opportunity now. And Marku's exciting, bro. He has a whole community behind him. He's always gonna get people coming out for him. So you're gonna get atmosphere in that fight. And I think Congo. I want to say Congo. I don't know if it's BLM right now, but Marku, like it's such a pick 'em for me, man. Because I know like Marku's got the power to, in my opinion, to really hurt Congo and possibly stop him. But at the same time, I feel like Congo is tricky enough, and he knows and will know how to disarm a lot of what Marku brings to the table. So it's a proper pick-em from that. I can't say who I think would win, but it's a good fight. I think people should definitely not overlook it and should watch it. It's a very good one in my opinion.
Yeah, Congo's got that kind of style. He knows how to drag it out into a sort of 12 round fight, however long it goes, and he's tough. He can take a couple shots, but then he can also really stick it on people at times. So, Mark, your thoughts on Marku versus Congo?
That's a good fight, you know. Florian Marku, like Jide said, he's got like the whole Albanian community behind him, so there's going to be a lot of support for him. Chris, he's a good boxer, but I don't think he's gonna have to get Florian's respect, like in terms of power. If he doesn't, and he's not necessarily the biggest puncher either, so if he doesn't get his respect, it's gonna be a long night because Florian Marku, he's built like a brick house, man. Like he's just stocky and short, and he just comes forward. And Chris is probably gonna have to use his feet a lot more than he anticipated and whatnot. But it's gonna be a good fight, man. I think it's one of those ones where the styles gel in it. So you got like the pressure fighter and sort of like the slick boxer in it. Yeah, it's gonna be a good fight. I'm probably gonna lean towards Marku.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where Marku early on has to make sure that he makes it clear to Congo, this is my power, and really cuts the ring off and makes the long night a hell night for him. Even if he doesn't knock him out, dent him early on.
Congo's a better fighter for sure. Like he's got like the better fundamentals and stuff.
Yeah,
like that. I just feel like he doesn't have enough pop to keep him off.
Yeah, and Congo, that's it. Congo has to get his respect, and you have to drag this fight out because we've seen Marku in the earlier rounds kind of have a peaker performance, and in the later rounds, he can't maintain kind of the same level. So for Congo to win, it'll be better to do that. But yeah, that's a good fight, and another good fight on that card. So it's a decent fight full of good domestic level fights that we're going to get that are really competitive. We've got Vidal Riley. He's the English champion taking on Mikhail Lawal, who's coming off his British title attempt against Isaac Chamberlain. Now, Mikhail Lawal can really punch. That's not in doubt. But his last fight against Isaac Chamberlain kind of didn't leave him in the best positive light. He looked out of sorts. He looked out of ideas very quickly. His game plan just fell apart very quickly, and Chamberlain was able to kind of win that fight. Didn't look amazing, Chamberlain himself, because it wasn't a fight that Lawal kind of tested him in that. And I think we'll kind of see a similar thing here where Vidal Riley, really good amateurs, he's been putting himself through the ringer by putting himself in decent fights, won the English belt, and I think he's got more than enough in his toolbox to make Lawal keep thinking and do the same that Chamberlain did, where is keep him kind of low intensity because he's trying to think about what to do and he doesn't really know what to do. Out of ideas quickly, and then the fight's going away from him. But whether or not Vidal can really then stick on him, because I think Vidal punches a bit harder than Isaac Chamberlain. That will be interesting to see whether or not he does stand at times and does try to trade with him. Mark, what's your thoughts on Lawal coming off this loss now, fighting Vidal Riley straight away?
It's a big step up for Vidal, to be fair, because in terms of like levels, he hasn't really fought anyone like Mikhail. He's probably sparred people on that level, but it's a bit different under the lights. Mikhail needs to give us a better performance, man. Like he literally stunk against Isaac Chamberlain, like, and he was talking a lot as well. I feel like he just needs to give us something, like, because if he performs like he did against Isaac, yeah, no one ain't gonna want to come out and see him, man. Like, see boxing as well, yeah, it's an entertainment thing as well, isn't it? So, like, the better you perform, the higher your stocks go. And Mikhail hasn't really performed in a minute, so he definitely needs a better performance. It's going to be interesting to see how Vidal's sort of like, because he's been touted as a good prospect, so it's going to be interesting to see how he performs, like in terms of like the level, if he raises his level. I can't really pick a winner, but I'm just curious to see how it pans out.
Jide?
Vidal beats him, man. And it's going to be a dirty, stinky fight, I promise you. It's not going to be a good performance. If Vidal is impressive and blows him out of there, then, bro, Sky's got a star. Or inmate. If Vidal does what they want him to do, yeah, Sky's got one. but I expect him to win. I expect Lara to make it a nasty fight.
Loads of grabbing and
Right, all of that, because
Yeah.
man's not trying to get knocked out, and man just has to get paid, and he doesn't like at this point after that performance of Chamberlain, he probably doesn't care, and Sky are probably trying to not cash him out, but give him this opportunity because they're selling him they're lamb to the slaughter. They're basically trying to build up Vidal, and after he loses, they're just gonna get rid of him. That's where he's at. So obviously, the thing to do if you're him is to give your best performance, but even if he has an amazing performance, how many opportunities are there out there for him for him to come off 2 losses back to back? It's just not gonna be. It's gonna be tough for him. So I still predict him being very negative.
Back to Channel 5.
Basically, so Vidal, man, I actually want Vidal to do well. I really want him to do well because I like the fact that he's taken the self-promotion route as well as having Sky boxer behind him. I need more boxers coming up to self-promote. He's got his YouTube channel. He coaches these misfits guys. I know a lot of like boxing purists where we stick our nose up at stuff like this, but Vidal has a following. Fighters know him, and it's not just like hardcore boxers. The casuals know him. MMA community know him. Do you get what I mean? Like people want to follow his story. As long as he's performing well, Sky can definitely build a star. And the cruiserweight division is very lackluster in stars. Sorry.
It's the good thing for him though is it's stacked with a lot of British talent for him to fight.
Oh yeah. I was gonna go into that. So yeah, Sky can definitely build. The first time they can definitely build someone. He's 26, so he has time.
Yeah.
Cruiserweight's probably peak in the late 20s, early 30s. So he has time to get to his absolute best, and he's very talented. The one thing I'd like to see from him is a bit more spite, because he's so good, technically. I feel like he thinks about what he does a lot. Like he wants to be very nice, you know what I mean? He wants to throw the perfect punch, and I want him to just think, fuck that. Sometimes it won't be the perfect punch I throw. Sometimes I'm just gonna come in, I'm just gonna blast you. So
Pause.
Yeah, pause. Yeah, sorry. But so yeah, that's what I want to see in this fight. So yeah, man.
Yeah, like I said, it's a card that I think to the British public is quite appealing because there's a lot of good domestic level competitive fights as well. The idea of just putting names together isn't enough. You need to make sure that these are competitive bouts, and on paper most of these should be competitive. And it's on a Sunday, the day after's bank holiday, so not, it's a good to relax and put on Sky and watch that. One guy that's on the undercard that I want to talk about, because I think we're going to talk about him for the next couple of years anyway, but I think we did definitely talk about was obviously Ben Whittaker. He's on the undercard. My issue with Ben Whittaker has never been the whole showboating, whether you do what you want. My issue has been the matchmaking, because with Ben Whittaker, we've not got some new type of prospect who's just fresh out of boxing or something. He's come from the Olympics. He's gone to the highest level. He's lost, cool, who cares? He's still a silver medalist. He's much better than the opponents that you're putting him with. They've put him in with this guy called Leon Willings, who's 7-1, 7-0. But again, one of those guys who's undefeated, but it's because he hasn't really fought anyone. So someone that's clearly not on his level. And I'm just wondering how long it's going to take for us to see Ben Whittaker fight a step up. Now, we're not saying, put him in with the better beer straight away, but we are saying put him in with someone that we know that has been around the block and will definitely give him a tougher fight than these other guys have been doing. Like, for example, when Ben Whittaker was in the Olympics, the guy he beat to go to the Olympic final, Imam Khatayev, who went and got an Olympic bronze medal, he's signed to Top Rank. Now, he fought on Benavidez Smith undercard this year, and now it's come out that his next fight, this Khatayev's next fight, who's his 7th pro fight, will be on the Lomachenko-Kambosos undercard, is against Ricards Bolotniks, who's easily Buatsi's best win.
Yeah.
Other than Richards, maybe. Like, so you're seeing this guy who got a bronze medal, who's similar background to Ben Whittaker when it comes to Olympics, amateurs, and all that, in his 7th fight going against a European level fighter. But with Ben Whittaker, we still have to wait for him to step up because he hasn't stepped up to any type of level. Forget European level, we haven't seen him even step up to British level or even English level. or even area level,
Mm.
or maybe area level. But in terms of the opponent, the opposition, it just seems like, for me, it just seems like they're taking too long with him. But on the other side, his last fight against Khalid Gurdia, where he did all the showboating and whatnot, it went so viral that he's now on 1 million followers plus on Insta. I think he got like over 50 million views on Instagram, and like a lot of people now know about him outside of the boxing space. And we did cover this when he did have that fight. But my issue is, it's that matchmaking needs to be a bit more accelerated than it is now. It looks like they're not really trying to push at all. What are your thoughts on that I've just proposed? I'll come to you first, Jide.
Yeah, I definitely echo what you're saying, innit? Like, obviously with the showboating stuff, I've softened my stance, although I still feel like I'd like him to do it against guys that are good in it. Then I'll be really impressed. But yeah, I'm with you with the matchmaking, and I feel like elite amateurs should be rushed. I know people say don't rush, but you're an elite amateur, bro. Like you brag about how you're beating up English level, British level, world level guys in sparring, but then why are you fighting guys the same skill level as me? Like, what's going on? What's going on? What are you doing? So I feel like I understand what I feel like. Boxer, after going viral the last fight, I feel like Ben Shalom Boxer and his management are thinking, you know what? Let's make him into the new Tank. Obviously, Tank's fought way better guys, but in terms of making him a social media youth, like the man, them everyone just gets behind him. He just styles on guys. Do you know what I mean? Make him a character. Make people attach themselves to him, irrespective of the sort of opposition he's fighting. And I think that's the route they're trying to go down, because he's a star. He's gonna be a star. And he's next up. And I also think they don't want to step on their toes in terms of what they're trying to do with Buatsi in the light heavyweight division. So it's like they want to fix that situation first, make him a world champion, and then bring up Ben behind him. But I just think it's misguided. I think he should be getting rushed, not as fast as Lomachenko, but along that kind of pace. Maybe an AJ pace. Because AJ fought for his first world title at what? 17
16 fights, yeah.
Yeah. So I see no reason why Ben Whittaker, fighting 3 to 4 times a year, can't be on that pace. He should be looking to be a world title challenger in the next 2 years. But based on what's happening, I think, like I said, they're going down that Tank kind of. Obviously, it's not exactly the same as Tank, but when Mike Tyson was coming up, that he was just knocking guys out that no one knew, but they had a knockout reel so they can show people. I feel like that's what they're trying to do with Whittaker. Just have a reel of him styling on bare man, just making them look absolutely stupid. Like you said, the Americans will be like, "Oh my God, who's this guy? He's hot, whatever, all that bullshit." And then he has a cross international audience that want to watch his fights. I think that's what they're trying to do, but I just wish that they did it quicker, in my opinion.
Yeah, but even then with Anthony Joshua, it's like they still matched him up with guys that won certain titles at some point in the career. Even if they're washed, it's still better.
No. I'm not saying Anthony Joshua for watch guys. I'm saying
no. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. What we don't want to. I'd rather see him fight someone that's like held a European belt, but now they're kind of a bit washed. Fair enough, but they've had that experience there.
Yeah.
Rather than fighting these nobodies who haven't really had experience anywhere, like Khalid Gurdia, he's been beaten up by guys like Parker and Dan Aziz and whatnot, but like he hasn't won anything. Like I want to see him against a guy that's won something. Okay, maybe he's not the champion now and he's been washed, but that's still better than what you're facing now.
Yeah.
So it is a bit weird, the kind of matchmaking. What are your thoughts, Mark, on Ben Whittaker?
I think it's on. I think I agree with both of you in the sense where like the viral thing and the showboating thing is cool, but we want to see it against better opponents. Like it's no good seeing it against like tin cans because they're tin cans. They're not going to trouble them. Ideally, we want to see him sort of fight better people, see how he navigates trouble, if he has like a moment of if he has a moment where like he has to sort of like dig deep and whatnot. So we want to see him fight better opponents. And the thing is, it's like if you fight better opponents, like you're gonna get more credit, more flowers for it. So I don't see why he shouldn't be rushed, like Jide said. Like if he's got the ability and he's talking about like he's beat Matty Cash in sparring and all these guys, and he's saying that he can beat Dan Aziz now. Let's see it. Let's see it. Why not?
Yeah, but I think one of the issues is he's got an issue, and I mentioned this a lot of times with Ben Whitaker, is he's very fragile when it comes to his not his mind, his body.
Injuries, yeah.
He gets injured quite a bit. His debut got delayed because of injury. His when he fought on the Usyk AJ undercard, the Saudi Arabia one, he got injured there, so he had to hold his career off. To be fair, the guy he's fighting holds the Central Area light heavyweight title. But then I'm thinking Central Areas, we know you're better than that. So like it's like you're winning. So I think obviously if he's fighting the guy that holds the Central Area title, they're gonna put the Central Area title for him. But it's like you're past that. Like you could at least go for English. At the least, you could go for English. Like what's his name? Vidal Riley. He's not as a seasoned amateur as Ben, but he in his 10th fight went and won the vacant English cruiserweight title, and now he's fighting Lawal next, who fought for the British and Commonwealth title. So at least there's that sort of recognition of we know kind of where the levels you're at. With this Leon Willings guy, it's not really anything, and then you're looking at your kind of your age mates, the guys you've beaten in the Olympics. They're going and fighting Ricards Bolotniks. I feel like sometimes when it comes to British boxing, we do take everything a bit too slow, especially when it comes to matchmaking certain guys. Like Ben Whitaker, like fair enough, do your showboating, you're big, you're huge, whatever. We know you're a great boxer, but we want to now see that. Fighting against a tin can like this, not a tin can, but against a guy that's way below what you should be fighting, isn't great. But at the end of the day, I think now it's just activity, I guess. Just now you just like win in March, get out there again in the summer, get out there again and again and again and see where you go. But that's my thing with Ben, is just I want to see something tangible so then I can see, okay, Ben's here. That's where he's at. Now you kind of don't know where to sort of assess where Ben Whitaker is. It's kind of what we've been doing with Conor Benn. You don't know where to kind of assess where he's at because there's not been that tangible kind of opponent where you can kind of go, okay, yeah, you beat this guy, so you're definitely at this level. We don't know that. So yeah, let's see that. But speaking about guys that are not fighting, Canelo recently came out in the because they had the press conference for the Munguia fight, said, give me 150 to 200 million and I'll fight David Benavidez then. So there's been all this debate. Obviously, is Canelo ducking Benavidez, and is it a legit duck? Is he right to duck? Because obviously his issues are, I think some of the issues that he's got with Benavidez is that he'll come in overweight. He'll not overweight, but obviously when he comes in on fight night, he'll come in weighing a lot. And one of the lies, and I say lies because he's changed his tune on this, was he was never going to fight a Mexican before. Now we're fighting Munguia in May, who's Mexican, so it kind of doesn't add up. But obviously, I think I've always wanted to get people's thoughts on this Canelo ducking Benavidez business. And Jida, I know you're quite excited by this, so I'll come to you first. Your thoughts on the whole situation?
This Canelo Benavidez thing is complex. The timeline is quite long. But I feel like both sides are just as culpable. But based on how the boxing media and the boxing world works, people root for the quote-unquote underdog or the new guy, which they see as Benavidez, which isn't Benavidez, by the way, but cool. Before Canelo got into the super middleweight division, who was the champion? Who was the WBC champion? David Benavidez.
Yeah.
Who lost his title on the scales? David Benavidez. Who's been
that too?
Yeah. So who's been fucking up his opportunities to unify? He's been in the division longer than Canelo. He could have unified. I remember Samson Lukowitz saying before Canelo fought Caleb Plant, he said, you guys want to Benavidez versus Caleb Plant, but to get two guys like that to fight is going to cost money. We want to build them up. They should have other fights, and then they should fight because we want to make the most money out of that fight. But then why are you doing that? Why don't you just collect Caleb Plant's belt then Canelo will have to see you to become undisputed. You gave Canelo the out he wanted, and now you're crying, acting like you're being persecuted that you're not getting this Canelo fight. And that's just not the only thing. When Canelo and the PBC situation initially first ended, Samson hollered at Eddie, and Eddie said, listen, if we get Canelo, we can make this fight. Bro's talking about it has to be on Amazon Prime. What are you talking about? If you want the fight, why does it need to be on Amazon Prime? The A side and the guy you want is Canelo. If you want to take his crown,
You
you
have
got
to go across the street.
you got to do whatever he wants you to do. If he's going to give you 70-30, you got to take it. If you're that confident of beating him. But they're not willing to do that. They're saying, and now you have Benavidez begging Turkey Al-Sheikh saying, bro, can you make this fight? Because Canelo wants 200 million. I'll give my purse to charity. No, you won't, because Samson Lukowicz just said they weren't going to fight Caleb Plant because they wanted to make the most amount of money. You want to make the most amount of money. It's prize fighting. So all this little lying to the fans and making himself seem like he's some pariah and he's getting shafted is nonsense. You're not getting treated disgustingly. You've been doing this for you've been in the division for how long, and you fucked up your opportunities by your own mistakes. But then on the other side, I will say Canelo, like, I'll be inconsistent if I saying stuff like, oh, you have to give me 200 million to fight isn't bullshit. When Tyson Fury was doing that with Usyk, I was on him. So Canelo, you cannot be coming out and saying man needs to give you 200 M's to fight him. That's nonsense. Like, I understand. I feel like Canelo is snapping back because people aren't trying to give him credit. You have the likes of Paulie saying he's ducking, Tim Bradley criticizing him. You have Andre Ward, who picked Caleb Plant to beat Canelo, by the way, coming out and saying, oh, Canelo ain't fought no one. So you have all these guys who don't like Canelo anyways. It's like they've stuck their flag with Team Benavidez. And then you now have the so-called impartial guys who just want to see the long-reigning champion get tested or get beat. And if you look at, since Canelo lost to Bivol, he's not really done anything impressive. Like, let's keep it very real. It's not really been impressive. So I feel like that loss knocked his momentum, and he thought, you know what, I can't beat this guy. Fuck it. I'm just going to do whatever I want now. I'm just going to be on a Floyd thing. So I'm not going to be here and say, I'm in agreement with the way Canelo's moving. This is ducking. This is, you're creating barriers, no matter the reason, even if it's just, like I said, in my opinion, Benavidez and his team are on bullshit. They're on complete nonsense. Like, they've had chances, they fucked up their opportunities, and now they're acting like they're getting. But that, bro, the WBC, you were made WBC mandatory. If you really want it, stick on the WBC like Dillian White did to get the fight. But you're not gonna do it. You're not gonna do it. When you had the chance to make the fight, not to make the fight, but when they were talking about the fight going on the zone, you're out here saying you're loyal to Amazon Prime on PB. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? So, yes, in my opinion, Canelo, I can't say you're not ducking. You're ducking. But at the same time, Benavidez, you're not helping yourself. You're on bullshit. You don't want the fight as much as you claim you want the fight, in my opinion. What you're trying to do is you're trying to rally the boxing fans and boxing public behind you to create this narrative that you're afraid. I remember when Oscar did that with Canelo and Floyd. I remember that clearly. When Floyd was the guy that everyone was, they were like, oh, Floyd is scared of Canelo. They rallied the boxing public around Canelo to fight Floyd. So I get the game in it, but I'm not gonna be here sitting there saying, oh yeah, Canelo's ducking Benavidez and he's just because he's scared of him. I don't think he's scared of him. I think they should fight. They're gonna fight. I think they're gonna fight. Personally, I think it's gonna happen in September. I just think this is all building up to the fight. In September, I also thought they're gonna put a weight clause in that fight. There's just no way Canelo's gonna allow Benavidez to come in at 200 pounds. Just it's not gonna happen. It's gonna tell him you're capped at 195, and if you go over it, you lose 10 million or some shit like that. But if I'm Benavidez, I don't care. I'm gonna come in whatever way I want. The beating Canelo is worth more than whatever you're gonna make in that fight, in my opinion. But we'll see, innit? I think they're gonna fight in September. But yeah, cut long story short, is Canelo ducking? Yes. But Benavidez is also playing the boxing public, boxing media game. That's just, you're not some victim, bro. Like, you know what you're doing in it.
Perfectly well summed up. Mark, your thoughts on this whole Canelo Benavidez situation?
Do you know what? Yeah, you know when Jared was sort of like giving us the backstory, right? I didn't realize like
When who?
Benavidez probably, huh?
When who?
When Vide was sorry, when Vide was giving us, sorry, I'm bugging out. When Vide was giving us the backstory, yeah, I didn't even realize, yeah, how long ago Benavidez was the champion. Like, it just dawned on me, like James DeGale was still active these times.
Yeah.
Like it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Like, so like Jide said, he's had this opportunity to try and make it work in it, and he hasn't. But I think also as well, Canelo's put himself in a position where he probably feels like he can do as he pleases. Like he's fought so many champions, he's beaten so many people. Well, like 60 fights now, like 56 fights,
Yeah, he's had a lot of fights. I think 60 fights now.
something ridiculous like that, isn't it? So he probably thinks it's something like, he probably is feeling like it's just another person that's just talking their way into a payday. Like, and when you're him and you've seen so many different fighters, you've beaten so many fighters, I get it in it, but I think this is probably like one of the more feasible challenges that he's had in a very long time. I think a lot of the fighters he's had previously, we kind of knew that Canelo was going to win. Like when you look at sort of like the resume and whatnot, the fighters he's faced have sort of just been either over the hill, or they've just been like, yeah, like he's just been too good for them. I think this one's a bit more poised, but I don't think Canelo's scared, but I do think after the Bivol loss, he's much more risk aware. Because I feel like he went into the Bivol fight thinking he was going to beat him quite easily, and I think when that didn't happen, I think he realized like going up, like fighting these big guys isn't as easy as it's not like fighting Callum Smith where he could just punch his arms and he's just going to fall apart. Like it's a lot different. Like these big guys are a bit stronger, a bit more skilled. So I do think that there is I think there's an element of not being scared, but scared of losing. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think if he's demanding 200 million and whatnot, he's just being compensated really well for.
Yeah.
But like they said, weight clause, and I think the fight gets made.
Yeah. I agree with both of you. I think Canelo's at that stage of his career is like there's easier fights on the table where I'm still going to get paid a hefty amount. Regardless, if Canelo fights, he's always going to get paid a certain amount. It doesn't matter. It's just like these certain other fights will make him more. Like Munguia, he's fighting Munguia off of 3 months because Munguia fought in January, late January as well. And so Munguia's coming off of a fight. Easier fight than Benavidez. It's still a good fight. I feel that the Canelo Munguia fight is a really good fight. I think that's the second best fight that's out there for Canelo outside of Benavidez. But there are easier options for better money. Like if Berlanga, for example, gets himself a Canelo fight, it's because he knows he can stop Berlanga and he'll get a lot of money for that. So he's at that stage. It's like, no, I can fight Benavidez, and it's a really tough fight, and I'm gonna have to push myself in camp. I'm gonna have to, go further than I have been before. But I could just fight Berlanga and make 10 million easy. And I know I'm knocking him out. I'll barely have to train and whatnot. So he's at that stage where he's able to choose and kind of. There are inconsistencies in Canelo's words because he said, I'll never fight a Mexican. And here we are in May, he's fighting a Mexican. So he's ducking. But I also think that he's at that point in his career where even if he is ducking, it doesn't affect what he's done in the sport.
Yeah.
He's achieved so much. He's got the best active resume out of any fighter, even Terence Crawford. He's got a better resume than Terence Crawford. He's got the best active resume out of every fighter there. He's done his thing. He's the fighter of our generation, along with Crawford and Inoue Usyk. You also have to mention Canelo in them because he's done his thing. He's not he's not as elite when it comes to their fundamental boxing. But if you look at his whole body and whole resume of work, he's done more than enough to warrant himself being in those conversations. Remember, this guy was the pound for pound king for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
After he beat Triple
G.
He's
the greatest Mexican ever, man. I know people have issues with that. He's the greatest Mexican fighter ever. She says.
So that's what I think, and I think you're right. We might get the fight. I think we do get the fight. I think he'll definitely have one more big fight with Benavidez, and then have 1 or 2 rubbish fights and then call it a day.
Yeah.
But we have to call him out on his inconsistencies, and we have to call him out for his rubbish. It is a duck right now, but Benavidez isn't, like you said, isn't in a rush, because now he's looking at fighting Gvozdyk for the WBC mandatory at light heavyweight. So what they've said is the plan is he fights in June against Gvozdyk, and that way he either has Bivol Beterbiev as the winner, so he gets to fight that, or Canelo. My idea is if you're going up in weight and you're a guy like Benavidez, if you're going up in weight, you're not coming back down.
Yeah.
You're just placing that there, so then you can always use that as, look, Canelo ducked me, watch my fight against da da da.
Yep.
That's why I think we might get the fight, especially if Benavidez does some business at light heavyweight. You might see Canelo move up and try to become a 5-division champion and whatnot, or 4-division, but like a legit one. But with Benavidez, light heavyweight's no easy option. He ducked it for a bit because he knew those Bivels and Beterbievs was something that he didn't want to face. So he's got his own issues of ducking. If the guys, the winner of the undisputed light heavyweight title fight, if they look good, I don't think he wants to fight that person either. So interesting to see how boxing politics works. But I hope we do get the bigger fights, because again, this year boxing's been amazing. I think it's been even better than 2023. And if we can end it off with a bang, Canelo Benavidez in summer in September, like you said, would be amazing. So I think we covered a lot of stuff this week. I mean, there was a lot to cover. It's a weekend, like I said, like I've titled this episode, it'll be a weekend of bad blood, not a weekend with me, even though that's bad blood. I have to get the doctor checked, but a weekend of bad blood, because we've got a lot of domestic matchups and a lot of rivalries going on this week. So a lot to look forward to for us. And a lot to look forward to in the coming months. We've got the undisputed title fight. We've heavyweight title fight. We've got Haney Garcia next month. We've got the June 1st card, which is kind of shaping up to be one of the best cards we've had in years, which we'll get into once everything kind of gets confirmed and it gets announced. There's a lot to look forward to, man. And boxing really is kicking off. So make sure that you're tuning in to us every week. You're giving us your thoughts, your questions and your thoughts in the comments. Make sure that you're following us on Twitter, Ringside Fracas. Make sure that you click subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, please give us 5 stars. And like I said, every week, keep tuning in, because we've got these banger episodes to keep giving to you. But thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Peace.